Okay, right. 5 minutes only. Now, this is Christmas shopping advice, especially if you're same sex, although I've got no interest in it's a free world. Yeah, so quickly. Right. 5 minutes, because any more than a couple of gigabytes, it takes forever to load up, and I don't have the battery, and I don't like speaking fast. Right. Everything started to go wrong. Oh, yeah, this is basically don't go shopping in co-op. Everything started to go wrong 20 years ago when you would gather in nice country places in the middle of nowhere. And it was always women who sat there saying, oh, no, you can't generalise. Excuse me, civilization, although it can often go wrong, is based only on generalisation. I'll give you a really good example. Now, I actually dislike this coat very much, but it's super warm. Why do I dislike it? Because it looks like I'm a rich incomer rather than a country bloke. Now, this is my country bloke. £8. Second-hand, right? Super quick. The reality of the countryside, okay, not so much around in the southwest, but where I used to live. But it's our whole life. My age group, we've been lied to our whole life that co-op with the ethical supermarket. Now, I have many photographs over the last decade of how they would treble wrap their stuff in plastic. But here's the real thing. I lived in this area called the Marches, which is the region between Brecon in the south, you never go there, and about Bishop's Cashel in the north, although it went further up. The only supermarkets down that little strip were small co-ops. But there were a couple of Nices, but they were smaller, and you could go 30 kilometres to the east and go to Hereford. But particularly single people, lots of lonely single people there, because particularly men, because all the women run away when their divorces fell. Just mentioning that. Yes. When your relationship breaks down, particularly if you've got children, you will end up spending so much time. Now, I'm the world record multitasker. There's only one thing to help you in multitasking, and that's this. And why am I so... well, it's not rude, it's just fact. Same-sex marriages, lesbians, it's on average lasts 6 years, men 7 years. It's a good deal longer on average for heterosexual, but when it all goes to shit, this is the most useful thing you can have. Reminds you, oh, I've got to do that in 10 minutes, that in 20 minutes. These save my life. Not on your phone, because somebody might phone up. Anyway, right, quick. So, what happened you saw it in 2020. Now, as a single parent for many years, I knew the price of everything for 100 miles. Never mind their total lies about being eco-thoughtful. Yes, as 2020 came along, the way Co-op put their prices up, they basically put their prices up 20-30% more than anybody else in the region. What? You're meant to be the good guys. Anyway, is that why I turned the camera? No, the reason I turned the camera on is the following. I kind of can't stand this area, but I'm not stupid. So about 3 days ago, I popped into the town, and this is very warm, but if I'm going to certain country places, I'd rather have my country top on. That actually is quite civilised. Now, 10 days ago, I'd been in the car park. I basically almost never go there. And there was this absolutely moody woman who I had a chat with, because her hair was left undyed and it was so beautiful, the colours. And I just thought, I'm going to dare to have a chat with you. And I said to her, God, never dye your hair. And her eyes lit up and she was like so joyous and happy, and we had this great chat. And she's like, oh, look at the colouring here, yeah. Anyway, so I was in the same town about 3 days ago, and but I knew I was coming back out to the countryside, not here, because you can't wear that here, it's this, right? You get judged all the time. I mean, it's astonishing, but here's the ultimate judgment. So I popped back. I just thought, right, I'm going to pop back to the Co-op and see if she's there, just because I enjoyed the chat so much. And it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I wander into the Co-op, have a look to see if she's on the till, and I'm wearing that. And I saw she wasn't there. And I went to the hot food stall to see if there's any markdowns. And I had a quick look at them. There were a couple of markdowns, the breakfast rolls, which are so ridiculously expensive, even marked down. And I thought, no. And I went to the door. And as I went to the door, there's a fucking, like, one of their workers was like following me. And she's standing there looking at me. And, there's me with my, like, slightly not city person coat. What's it doing? I've set it wrong. I was meant to only have 5 minutes. And my quite nice city backpack or town backpack. And she's just looking at me like, oh, you're definitely... Because I'd walked over to the food stand, had a look, and then decided, no. She's standing there like, look, I'm calling security. You're bound to have stolen something. And I actually so enjoyed just like, okay, I'm going to just stand around by the door. And, anyway, Co-op are frankly evil, but there's something more evil, which is when, as has happened, and I made an audio about this yesterday. It's the audio number 3. This whole business of the words they've come up with. Oh, you're judgy. I'm sorry. British fucking society works only on judging. Totally. And in the southwest, it is even so much worse than where I used to live. And this is the place where, by default, all of the sort of under 50s have been brainwashed to endlessly say, oh, you're being judgy, when they themselves are so absurdly judgy. I mean, I know if I walk around some of the kind of woo-woo towns, I don't use that word usually, but like wearing that coat, like they're just like, oh, no, that's bound to be some kind of, I don't know. They don't know what a proper country coat is. Yeah, coke-addled mad person who lives on vodka. No, the judginess is total. And this all arose from this change in society about 20 years ago, and it's always the townies who'd come out, who would have their children at Steinerish schools, all that kind of thing. And they sat around saying, only you can't generalise. Tragically, and I know that all human beings below their whatever coat they're wearing are exactly the same. I understand evolutionary biology and the actual reality of it. But I'm sorry, that's what our society is. Endless judging. But whatever. Don't pay that fucking Co-op a penny. 1 penny. They are evil to see the way they put, and it is so, it's, to me, it's the ultimate kind of symbol of 50 years or 40 years especially of total moral bankruptcy, total corruption via the advertising message, whatever. The way Co-op behaved, I mean, it's laughable that their Co-op bank president ended up, hounded out because he was some mad coke fiend or whatever. But, they should have fallen then, because the way they would behave, and I'm sure still do. Oh yes, my 10-year quest has been just to, I can say one thing about myself, which is I am a one-woman man. If I've ever been with a woman, I never even would think of another woman. But it's like when you live in the rural areas, you can't even speak freely unless you're seen as a couple, and because it's dodgy underneath. So in a long kind of quest to try and find the one sane woman left in the countryside, which has failed. Yeah, one of my various, daily, like, I'm going to chat with 5 women today, and I'm not very good at it. But one of them I did chat with was a manager at a co-op, or she was an under manager. And she told me how, and this was about 8 years ago, she told me that co-op have a computerized, it's set up by people, system, whereby if they know that you're in an area with fewer cars, they will jack up the prices because they know you're that a lot of the people that live in the vicinity, in other words, Kington 15 years ago was the cheapest co-op, but by 10 years ago they jacked the prices right up, and the reason is because their computer had told them there's a smaller car ownership here, so people can't it's going to cost them £7 to go back and forth to Hereford on the bus, so they're a captive audience, so fucking jack the prices up. I mean, that I have a recording of a woman who'd been working there then for 8 years telling me this. And yeah, that's how evil. But that is, to me, kind of a symbol. What's the right word? It is a kind of a description of the reality of the whole of British society for the last 40 years, but particularly 30 years. None of which you can fight unless you work together with solidarity. And yet, when everything, because of these women who came along, and the men would sit around and daren't even intervene, occasionally I would just try and hold the space with some sanity back then. But no, the men would just never dare to say anything because their women had become so fucking narcissistic princesses. And this is not rural people, this is people who'd come into even the rural lands then, that they just sat preaching the ultimate virtue signalling bullshit. The problem is that it was well-meaning. However, if you read proper books and think properly about history, I'm sorry, it's entirely fantasy. That's not the way humanity works at all, ever. I mean, look at the blouses that Russell Brand has been wearing these last few years. He cares about what he is judged to be via what he wears. Sorry. There we go, the end.